Hey everybody, welcome back for more Talking Trash with Carlos. Today we're going to talk about, are you, yes you, a bit of a diva? And do you hate relationships? Oh, and we're also going to touch on long distance relationships. Always a hot topic. Look, some women are divas. It's just going to be that way. What's a diva, you ask? Well, some people would classify it by the number of shoes you have. As in, if you have over 14 pairs of shoes, you might be a diva. Or you could ask yourself, how often do you check your phone? Do you check it 3 times a day? 10? 50? Every minute? Would you rather spend your weekend in a luxury hotel or a beachfront bungalow? If a server messes up your meal, do you A, politely bring it up to them, B, take it out of the tip, C, call the manager over? And how long does it take you to get ready to go out? 5 minutes? 20 minutes? An hour? It's worth taking a look at your attitudes and lifestyle to see if you might be walking that line, that thin line of diva. Now, it's been my experience that a very small percentage of women actually are divas. They simply act like it at different times. In the same way that most guys aren't jerks 24/7, they just act like jerks every so often. Now, you might be wondering what guys think of divas. Well, let me tell you that if you assume that divas equal high maintenance, you'll understand that it takes a certain kind of guy to deal with these particular demands. And not all guys are ready to sign up for that kind of work. The same way you don't want to have to always work on a guy's commitment and trust issues, am I right? So if you think you might have some diva tendencies, it's a good idea to tell your man about them in advance by giving him a heads up on your challenging bits. But wait, do you hate relationships? Well, here's a few reasons you might hate relationships. Number one, they're super exhausting. We know this, right? Sure, if you're always super sensitive to another person's moods, needs, and disposition, you're going to be riding their emotional roller coaster all the time. And you know what? That can get damn tiring. The reality is if you're focused on another person that much, there's a distinct chance that you're not focused on yourself all that much. Here's the truth. Relationships are easy if you choose an easy person. Someone without a ton of baggage and issues that needs to come out every single time you forget to unplug the toaster or whatever sets them off today. But if you pick a person who has neurotic needs up the wazoo just because you don't want to be alone, or you settled because you were tired of the search, well, you're going to be getting in line for their ride, their roller coaster. Oh, number two reason you might hate relationships is you feel powerless. One moment you're buzzing along fine, the next moment you're realizing that you've given this person complete power over your emotions. If they're unhappy and you're happy, you feel like that's somehow weird or wrong. That can't be. Or maybe you just feel that you give this person the ability to lift you up and throw you in the dump. Number three reason you might hate relationships is that fights that never seem to get resolved. Sure enough, you're going to get into some tricky interpersonal hurdles in a romantic relationship, and very often you'll find yourself getting caught in the spiral around the drain as you argue endlessly about the same junk. Why don't you call me more? You're always out with your friends. You haven't introduced me to your mom yet. I don't understand why you keep buying all those clothes. Now, I know this all sounds pretty negative. Hey, this is the Talking Trash video of the week, right? But I want to remind you that these things we hate about relationships are not caused by relationships. They're caused by flawed people trying to figure out how to make romance and love work in the long term. And this is important because if you start blaming relationships for these things, you're completely missing the point. They're simply the friction zone where two people's stuff just meets. Oh, now would you like to know the number one question about relationships as searched on Google? Well, let me tell you. It is how to make long-distance relationships work. That's right, according to Google, about 3 million Americans and half of college students were in a long-distance relationship as of 2016. Now that's kind of crazy if you think about it, but then again, that's only 1% of all Americans. Still, I get this question a lot. I think it's because people are getting into long-distance relationships more and more in this age of internet dating. But the real question here is, can a long-distance relationship work? And how? The truth is they can work, but they can't stay long distance. The relationship has to evolve into, well, resolving that distance, and you two finally have to get together. What I notice in my coaching clients and readers who want to make a long distance relationship work is that either the man or the woman are very hesitant about getting into a relationship that's near them. They actually chose a long distance relationship over ones that were closer. Now, it could be their own trust issues or a feeling of desperation, but you got to remember that long distance relationships often simulate attraction and desire, simply because each person is hard to get. I've made the same mistake myself. So a long distance relationship can work, but it has to have two things happening in it. Number one is completely open communication. Without that, you don't stand a chance. You have to be open and upfront about everything. And number two, you got to be working to resolve the distance. It can't be something you're going to let be this relationship over 1,000 miles apart for the rest of your lives. There has to be a plan for bringing that stuff together. And by the way, if you want to get more information on how to handle a long distance relationship, or you want to find out more about how to make that relationship want to be close together, then go on over and check out my complete commitment program. You can go over to datingadviceguru.com/commitment and go check that out. And of course, don't forget, you gotta, number one, like this video, gotta get this good stuff. Number two, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on notifications. That's the big one a lot of people forget. You gotta know when these new videos come out so you can catch them. And of course, number three, leave me your questions and comments below. Please, just be polite, okay? Hey, this is great talking some trash with you about love and relationships. If you got any questions, make sure you leave them below, and I'll be talking to you again soon. This is Cavallo from datingadviceguru.com. As always, live and love with passion, but talk some trash.